Okay, everybody, here we go. It's time for the Sandbox Podcast, a platform where we learn to lead well with other leaders. Oh, it's gonna be good. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Coming to you live from the good land. This is your host, Tyler Richardson, and we are so pumped to be with you today. It's going to be another short day, hallelujah. And what we're going to be talking to you about is increasing production value. Now, when you hear that phrase, increasing production value, you're probably thinking about adding more excellence, probably putting more money into the production side of what you do and increasing the lights and the show and all that stuff. What I really want to talk about is adding value to the leaders in your production team. So when I'm talking about increasing production value, I'm not talking about the lights, the spectacle, all that stuff. I'm talking about increasing our value in the leaders of the production teams around us. Now, for some reason, from conference to conference and church to church and all these things I've seen and been a part of and even heard tales of, there's always the easiest point of tension, and that point of tension for some reason is always in communication with everybody with the production team. And there's obviously other points. It varies from different personalities and different stress levels, but the easiest point I've seen of a tipping point has always been with production. So we're gonna deal with that today and figure out a way where we can all put proper and higher, honestly, because I think proper value for production people is probably higher than what we're currently doing. And we're going to talk about some of the things that get in the way and some of the things we can do to elevate all of us together to lead together with everybody. So what we're going to specifically talk about are the three areas that are the quickest linchpins that can really cause the problem of communication and tension between either a worship leader or a pastor or whatever with the leaders of the production team. And the first of those three is that for some reason, it's very hard for people to be nice. All right. The first one is be nice. For some reason, it's very easy to walk into somebody who's running sound or doing lights and just naturally, for some reason, if you have a microphone and you're on a platform, you automatically have an attitude. If you can't hear yourself in the monitor, it's not, hey, Bill, for some reason I'm not hearing my monitor. It's, Bill, nothing in the monitors, bro. Nothing in the monitors. Again, how many times we gotta do this? There's nothing in the monitors. There's always, you immediately just leap to not nice. That's the first one. The second one is that we're not specific, okay? A lot of times, either you're running behind, you have a service to get going, or maybe you're having a special speaker, or all these things. There's just different things that cause heightened stress levels at different times and in different moments. And for some reason, something will be going on. You hear something from the monitors, or something's going on with the XLR, or there's something happening that's not right. And you just lash out and you go, hey, Bill. Well, I already said Bill. Hey, Thomas. You like these names? I do too. Thomas, something's going on, man. Well, then Thomas replies, well, what is it, Jeffrey? What's going on? I don't know. There's like a whistle. It's kind of like a witch that's screaming, followed by the sound of crackling fire. I don't know what's going on. And then oh, there it is again. There it is. Do you hear it? And here's the thing with production people. If they're anything, they're not specific. So this, being specific is what people in production love. And so you screaming out things that are not specific is not very helpful. And it only makes them frustrated, because then you feel like they're talking to you like you're an idiot. And then they feel like you're talking to them like they're an idiot, because you're like, I don't know, you should just know what's wrong and you should just automatically fix it. And then the third thing is that you're not realistic, okay? And not realistic is this. Sometimes it's very easy to either attend a conference or go to a church down the road or see a service on YouTube and all these things, and you immediately want what you do and what your congregation does to look like that. You want the screens to look like that. You want the lights to look like that. You want the sound system to hear and feel like that and all that stuff. And you walk into your situation and either you have those capabilities and you just haven't been awakened to it, or you're a million miles from those capabilities. And sometimes you can walk in as worship leaders or preachers or whatever. It's very easy to walk into a situation and you spend all of your energy being like, oh, down the road, man, they are killing it. They are doing so well that you should hear their sound system. You should see their lights. It's amazing. And then you walk in and then you're just like, can we fix this? Can we fix this? And the only examples you have are of this multi-million dollar system or this technologically insane thing that is just not possible for either your budget or your, even sometimes you have the budget but you don't have the building, and then sometimes you have the building but then the codes of like the sound ordinances in around your churches, because it's close to communities, are very specific. There's so many things that go into it. So it's about being nice. It's about not being nice. It's about not being specific, and it's about not being realistic. Nice, specific, and realistic. Now, here's the thing. If you can just walk in everything, and again, a lot of times, depending on the budget and the size of your church and of your worship service, maybe you're not paying the people that work with you in your production a lot of money, or maybe you're working with union people that a lot of times are not even saved, and you gotta juggle all this. Everything from, hey, what's your name? Or remembering their name. Maybe they've been there 16 years and you've never really bothered to have a conversation with them about their families and what they're into. And hey, I'm going to go get some coffee for everybody. What do you want? I'm going to bring you coffee. Just little tiny things to raise the value we have for the leaders and the production people around us. To be nice on platforms, to say, hey, I am so sorry, something's not right here, and going into the being specific. I don't really know what it is, but can you come here and look? Because 9 times out of 10, a sound man will have or sound woman, some person will never really understand what you're talking about. And if you keep trying to scream at them at the soundboard while you're here on the stage, and they're not it's never going to happen. You need to have a culture where you're very approachable because of your niceness, where they can come to the stage and kind of listen to the monitors, they can kind of fiddle with the chords, and then 9 times out of 10 in that type of situation, they will find the situation and the issue and they will fix it. If you just kind of scream back and forth about, well, I can't hear, and that's never going to solve it. And then the third thing, you've got to be realistic. It's amazing the additional effort that people will go into when you're appreciative. And I think it's so easy for us to not be appreciative only because we're not being realistic. A lot of times I've seen people that are very discouraged about where they're at with their churches and in either the talent pool of their worship team, the sound system, the amount of number of volunteers they have. And sometimes I'll meet with them, either their teams, to do a night of worship or whatever. And I'm immediately being like, y'all actually have a very strong team here. Y'all have people who are obviously very committed, and you have people who rehearse very diligently. And there's all these aspects. So if we can learn to raise our value for the leaders and the production teams around us by being nice, by trying our best to be specific. If you don't know and you're just honest about that, that's a whole lot better than, I don't know, there's just something and there's this and there's that. If you can just calm down, be nice, be as specific as possible, and be realistic, you will see a giant raise in not just the value you have for them, but you will also see the work effort that they will pour out for you. Because people, I know it's very cliche, it's very Christian television, but it is true. People love to be where they are celebrated. I heard a quote yesterday, and they said there's something about when somebody makes you feel like a person when you have days where you don't feel human. And I think that's the thing for the production people around us. I heard a story once by a pastor who had a very deep burden in his heart for a man who ran sound in his in his church, because he saw how easy it was for people in lights and sound and in all areas of production and gaffing and all that kind of stuff. People, it's so easy for them to be the ones who are treated very poorly. And he really wanted to make sure that they were treated correctly. And what happened is that sound man left that church and went to another congregation. And what happened is that they treated him very poorly. They didn't treat him as well as he had been treated before. And it really burdened his heart, and they didn't know that he actually dealt with severe depression issues. So at the end of the day, because he was treated so poorly, he was talked down to, he was belittled, and all of that actually led to him actually taking his own life. Obviously, there was multitudes and multitudes of things that were in that way before the church interaction. But it does go to show you there's something to be said about raising our value for the people in production around us. They have the least celebrated job, and they have the easiest job to get yelled at. And imagine if you know how often you've been into a church service or a conference and people start talking about how it's hot or it's cold, and somebody's like, it's somebody do something, change the thermostat and all this kind of stuff, and everybody kind of giggles because you can't really yell at a thermostat. It either is working or it's slowly working, or maybe there's too many people in the room and that's what's making it hot, so it's working full blast but you can't change it and all that stuff. I think that production people are the thermostats that we feel comfortable yelling at. And because of that's created a situation where it's like, I don't like this light, change it. I don't like this sound, it's this sound doesn't work, change it. And that may sound silly, but we all laugh when somebody says it's too hot, because let's say you have 1,000 people in a room, they all have a different idea of what their perfect temperature is. But you can't yell at a thermostat for that. But you do have 1,000 people who have different views of what they want sound and lighting to look like. And there is a human being there, so you can yell at that person for that. And I've seen way too many just really good production people treated poorly, and it kind of creates these like separated silos from each other. And I think we can come together and really co-lead with those people correctly, and where they can lead in confidence, and they don't have to feel like their own little thing and then our thing, and they're like the nerds and the whatever people with like the cell phone tied to their belt like Dwight from The Office. I think all these things just need to be torn down, and we raise our value for the production teams around us. This was in no way, shape, or form as short as I actually planned to do it. I guess I'm a lot more passionate about this than I originally thought, but that's good, because maybe sometimes you need to be passionate. This is our longest podcast to date. This is amazing. I'm going to bake a cake or get one of those honey biscuits from Hardee's. If you haven't gotten one, you got to. The people at Hardee's have killed it with this one. We're so excited. Let's remember to play nice in the sandbox. We only get one shot at this. We only get one conference, one service, one prayer moment. We only get one time to do this right. Let's raise the value we have for the production leaders and teams around us, and we will be better for it. Let's go.